Hello YouTube, and I'm back again with yet another video regarding cheap shit Aliexpress guitars. We're going to do another review in a bit. First I want to say thanks a lot to everybody who's watched and commented, even if you were calling me a cunt or whatever, which quite a few of you were, but you know it's YouTube, so it's to be expected. But other than that, there's been a few people I think said, you know, they've saved a lot, probably saved a lot of money by deciding not to get a cheap shit guitar. You know, we've had some good discussions about recommending other budget brands where you do get more than you pay for, because you don't always get what you pay for. Sometimes you get much more, sometimes you get much less. But you know, we've talked a bit about that. It's been pretty good. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for commenting. You know, making the videos popular. So I've got some new lighting. As well, in other things, I've just blinded myself with it there, but it's someone said get daylight bulbs because it lights the scene better and you can stare at my fucking face. Sorry about that. But yeah, anyway, this one's going to be in kind of two parts. I'm going to do one part with this guitar, which I'm about to show you in a second, and the other part is going to be after. I'll skip straight to it, which is after I've taken all the parts off it and I've dismantled it a bit, because he's asked me to do a little work on this thing. So, to the matter at hand, a friend of mine took a shine to this. This is an £8,000 George Harrison Fender custom shop. It's made entirely out of rosewood. It's pretty cool looking guitar, but to be honest, the real ones are going to be ending up in fucking some hedge fund pricks fucking, you know, office, or some... David Cameron probably got one. That's the sort of thing he'd do, isn't it? And go like, oh yeah, I quite like the Beatles actually, and then just, you know, have it sit there maybe. I wouldn't be caught dead paying £8 for a fucking Telecaster unless it was a real... I don't know, maybe some people invest in them. Who knows? I think that's the other end of you get what you pay for. But my mate's a cheap cunt. So, what did he do? He went to Aliexpress. Now, I did not endorse this. I did not endorse it at all. But this is what he got. And on the surface, it looks kind of alright. This is the Aliexpress special. Now, I'm going to say straight away, he ended up with a Fender logo on it. I didn't tell him to do this. In fact, I told him once he got it, I said, you should probably take it off. A lot of people don't like people putting the Fender logo on. We've had this discussion. Alright, this isn't my doing, but we're going to review it anyway. And he's asked me to fix it up a little bit. So, first question. Is it rosewood? Is it fuck? I don't think it's real rosewood at all. Now, sorry, just clip my mic stand there. Here, that looks a bit like... I reckon that could be ash, perhaps. It's been stained. It's been painted. It has got like the little maple strip in the middle, but not as thin. It's a really thin strip, almost a veneer thinner strip on the original guitar. But you know, it looks quite cool. It's all right. It's, you know, you paid about 260 quid for it, I think. I'll play a little bit on it, but I'm going to tell you now, it doesn't hold tuning. There's a lot of shit wrong with it, but we're going to get to that soon. It's probably fixable. I don't think there's any big issues, but you know, it's just sort of... That's your tone going up. So, you know, controls are alright. Doesn't crackle. Anything like that. You might hear a bit of interference there. Actually, I'll turn this on to probably get a better sound from this. I'm playing this upside down here. So that could be, you know, bear in mind it's not going to sound very good anyway. But yeah, I just think it's... Once you're up here though, intonation, that's well out. It's, you know, so playability, we're not really going to go there, to be honest. There's not much point in it. Went the wrong way there, it went Omni. Hopefully that picked up nicely. But there's not a lot of point doing a big review on the sound of this guitar, because it's going to change. We're going to do something with it. Now, I've got a nice little trick here. We've got an IP camera I've been playing with on my phone. So we're going to have a little look a bit more closely at this guitar. And there we go. So, a few things. What we're going to look at. I guess first, we're probably going to look at the neck. Weird thing here. Alright, firstly, we've got this stupid Fender logo. Let's get it out of the way. Now, It's bullshit. It's clearly fake. It looks terrible. The actual original one, if we go back to it, I'll just quickly do that. This is the headstock front on the original. It does have a slightly different sort of, you know, like a different kind of font to your standard Fender guitars. So, okay, you know, they've obviously tried to do that here. But, yeah, I mean, my girlfriend, she does nail art, and she kind of noticed a little bit of crinkling, which you can't really see on the webcam thing here. But, yeah, it's nothing special. The string tree's a bit shit. And then we look at the back of the headstock as well. This is the original. I'll try and flip this over a second. Try not to knack anything though. So you've got you've got this little thing. You've got the Fender tuners on this one. You can kind of go to this. Let's have a look. And you've got you do have that George Harrison's. They've even gone that way. The tuners are Wilkinson Deluxe. Which aren't terrible, you know, there's okay Chinese tuners, I guess. We'll see how well they hold tune in a bit when I put some proper strings on it. What else have we got then? The nut. The nut, actually, let me just focus this. This is a bit, okay. So the nut, actually not badly done. The nut's not bad at all. It seems okay. You know, I doubt it's a bone nut by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, it's okay. Now the weird thing is, it seems to have a gloss finish on the neck. Now that is a rosewood fretboard, which is, you know, pretty standard. But you can see that kind of glossy sheen there. Can you see that? So that's strange. I've never really seen that much on. Maybe there are glossy rosewood necks. The fretwork's not terrible. There's not really any sharp edges. So in reality, the neck seems alright. I don't think it's rosewood. I think it's actually maple that has been painted. And you can see, unlike the George Harrison, it's the fretboard and this bit of wood are totally different bits of wood. So whereas the George Harrison, of course, is a one single piece of rosewood. Obviously, we're not expecting miracles here from a 260 quid guitar. So, but the only thing is no truss rod. People will probably notice there. However, the Harrison model had one at the end, but there isn't one here that I can see. Maybe there is one hidden underneath there. So we're going to do that in part 2 when we come back on that. And we're going to see if there is a truss rod. Hopefully there is. I did measure the neck with a straight edge, and it seems pretty straight actually. It's pretty much spot on. But you want a truss rod to be able to adjust for things like, you know, when the moisture levels or whatever, and things can warp the wood in your guitar slightly and give you, you know, issues with it. You know, if you travel a lot, maybe you'll have problems that you need to readjust your truss rod. So it's very nice to have it there. So hopefully it does have a truss rod. What else have we got? So the actual fit and finish to the neck, not terrible this time. This is better than mine. It fits there. It's okay. It's just a bolt-on neck, standard shit. It's got your fakey Fender plate on there. Not that that's a particularly sophisticated piece of equipment, really. It's just a plate of metal. But yeah, like I say, overall, not terrible. You can get a closer look at this maple strip. Now I think this is just painted, the finish. There was actually a part somewhere. See if I can get a good view of it without breaking my entire computer. There's my little script there, tell me what I need to do. But you can kind of see, if you look very carefully there, you can see where it's scratched off. And there's a different colour underneath, which implies to me, most definitely, not rosewood. There's a few little imperfections in the paint job. Not something I don't think is the guy's losing any sleep over. You can see there's been little bits of dust and shit have got caught under where they've stained the wood there. Not particularly professional. Not probably going to change playability or anything. And the aesthetic from a distance, if I can just refocus here. It's not, yeah, you know. It's alright. Pick guard. Pick guard's actually very well fitted. Pick guard have done a decent job. It's 3-ply. It's a decent quality 3-ply. It's like the ones that I put on that I actually import from America, the same sort of size. It's no big thing to get a pick guard right, to be honest. Apparently it was with my other guitar. Electrics, I think as the year before. The pots are smooth, but they're cheap. Same with the selector switch. Selector switch is very plasticky. very wobbly, but that's quite easily replaced. You can even get fairly decent quality parts for that. Not too badly. It's a simple guitar, the Telecaster. It always was. That was kind of its appeal. The bridge, I think, is where the big problems start. So let's refocus a little on the bridge. So the bridge here, you've got effectively it's a bit shit quality. It's cheap crap. You can probably see there the strings don't line up with the poles. These saddles are probably the main culprit. Sorry about the any glare there of the issues with intonation right the way up the neck. And you can see that these strings actually coincide quite nicely at the nut end, but they are terrible at this end. So we're going to replace this. The bridge is the first thing we're going to replace. We're going to get a licensed real Fender one, and we're going to get some compensated saddles for it, which actually isn't too cheap, we found out, for a licensed Fender plate. And compensated brass saddles. All right, probably about 25 quid, I think. Cheap enough thing. The pickups we're not going to bother because it's just a hobby guitar for him. He's just going to play it a bit, so we're going to see how these. They sound okay to me. He thought there was some interference, but I found that with the Kemper over here, with the noise gate turned off, I could put like a 5150 on, and when I turned away from the monitor, which gives me loads of hum on any pickup for some reason when I get close to it, it was all right. I didn't find a great deal of hum. So yeah. Other than that, really, it's the tuning and the intonation is shite. Now, next part of this sort of video, if I just jump back again, the next part of this, we're going to be taking this and I'm going to be taking it apart. We're going to take the shit strings off, we're going to take the neck off, and we're going to look and see what the neck's made out of. Hopefully we'll see a little indicator underneath showing us the real nature of the wood. And again, looking in the cavities, I suspect we're going to see some different colours. We're going to see what this guitar's really made of. So we'll be back with that in a second. And we're back. A mere second will have passed for you there, but I was getting tired, it was getting late, so this is the next night for me. What I've done in that brief teleportation period, other than change my t-shirt to a slightly knackered one actually, is I've taken this little fucker to bits. It's in pieces. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this little camera out again, get the IP camera out, and we're going to have a bit of a closer look and come to some conclusions. So firstly, the routing isn't that bad compared to the absolute doom that mine included. You know, it's just a standard Telecaster pickup route. It's not bad at all. This one's been routed for a humbucker, which is interesting, which means you can swap out the normal single coil and you can use a humbucker, which is something that was often seen on Mexican Telecasters. I found this out later, otherwise I might have actually gone, I could have got, I think it's mid-2000s sort of Mexican teles all had this humbucker route. So that's nice to know. Useful if he ever wants to swap pickups, but he probably won't. We've got the neck pocket here. Now, at first you think, we've exposed the real wood, but actually that's the maple layer, because it just sits right at the bottom of the neck pocket. You know, screw holes seemed okay. It's stuck in all right. It's not like miles out like the one I had was. It's, you know, it's a basic guitar. And you can see here, these let give the game away a little bit. Don't know if you can see there very well, but you can see it's a lighter colour wood. And here, also, if you get it focus a bit, also I've sanded this actually a touch just to see, and it has exposed the wood. It's blatantly not rosewood. I think we'd figured that out just by looking at it, you know. Other than that though, it's been earthed, not with an amazingly thick bit of wire, but there is an earth there. It's, you know, at the bridge. So that seems to be the electrics, the cheap shit, but they all seem to be a bit of a rat's nest of cabling, little capacitor on there, little green one. Don't know what that is exactly. But, you know, I mean, what do you expect? It works, it's cheap wire. And there is a little bit close to the bone here with a hole, and a little bit offset on that one, but I'm suspecting they just shifted it around so that it was straight, which is better than they did for mine, actually, in many ways. Other than that, there's not a great deal to write home about the body on this, other than, you know, the amazing revelation that it's not solid rosewood. There's a fucking surprise. it's not too bad. It's okay. It's just a, you know, it's a solid guitar with a slightly interesting aesthetic. Yeah, okay. If you like it. I mean, I probably wouldn't have paid this amount for something like this. It's very basic. But yeah, anyway, we've got the neck. So the neck's an interesting one, actually. And part of the reason for that, I'm hoping the lighting's okay here. Part of the reason for that is that I actually went to the edge, if I can see it. Sorry for... That is not amazing. Was it that edge or was it the other edge? I gave it a tiny bit of a sanding just to see what colour came out. I obviously didn't want to affect the actual shape of the neck, but you can see it's a bit knackered at the bottom there. But it's certainly a dark wood. It's not lightening up like this body is when you take a bit off. And they're looking in the holes there as well. This is probably very hard to see on the camera, but they are a darker wood all the way down. So I'm starting to suspect that if this isn't rosewood, it's very similar wood. But I actually think this could be a real rosewood neck. I don't think it's a particularly high quality bit of rosewood, and it is definitely two-piece. But it is. Again, truss rod, we found one. It's hard to see there. It's not particularly well... I'm going to sand the inside of that hole a bit to widen it slightly so that there's slightly better access to the truss rod. But there is one. It's very hard to see in there. It's going to be a bugger to get to, so... But there is one in there. It exists. So, I mean, all in all... Oh, and the nuts. You can get a slightly closer look at the nut before we go. Again, just get in the light. It's not terrible. One thing I did notice is that they had actually screwed it up, I don't know if you can see there. But they'd screwed it up slightly and filled it in. Which means that at least... They did a slight minor fuck up when they were putting it in, and they fixed it in what I believe is the correct manner, which is you kind of fill it in so it's flat, stick a bit of wood dust in. So yeah, it's okay, I guess, really, all in all. Let's go back to the my ugly mug. So, conclusions. Bridge needs replacing. Definitely the bridge is the major issue there. Hopefully, the neck seems relatively straight. I did get the straight edge out here and checked it with the strings on, and it seemed to be alright. You know, the neck alignment seemed okay to me. We'll check with how it plays once we've got the new bridge sorted out and got the action sorted. Other than that, you know, much better than the one I got in terms of instant sort of quality, but still definitely needs some work. Even that one part, the bridge, you know, you're going to factor in an extra... we were looking at compensated brass saddles and a real Fender license plate. Both of those combined were about £30, I think, something around that region delivered. You can get second-hand Fender bridges cheaper, which I did on a Revelation I've got there. It's actually got a made in Mexico bridge. I found a left-handed one. Imported it, actually, for a mere £22 from an eBay guy who was just selling reclaimed parts from old and knackered guitars. So that was nice. But all in all, this is a much smaller project than the other Telecaster that, if you've seen, is a nightmare. Is it worth it? 265 you paid for this, so it's a lot more than mine. He's got a playable guitar out of it, basically. But I would still say, you know, even if you're not putting a Fender logo on, don't do that. You're still probably better off in terms of quality control with a Harley Benton. You're going to get Harley Benton's probably the same basic quality as this thing in terms of an instrument. And it's £100 cheaper at least. You know, if you're right-handed especially, he didn't want something like the TE40 that they do. Revelation, again, another brand that are cheap, off-brand, probably get it built in the same factories, but they have much better QC. Entwistle pickups, which aren't bad if you like that kind of thing. So there's better options, I'd say, still. But anyway, we're going to come back to this. Next video, I'm going to, once we've ordered the bridge, which might be a little while yet, we're going to fix it in, I'm going to give it a full setup, and then we're going to have a look and we're going to give it a final review and, you know, decide after costs, was it then worth it? Anyway, thanks for watching. Any comments you want to leave below, please don't be a prick, but, you know, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this kind of thing. Have you ever got any cheap-ass ones? What recommendations would you say instead of this? What off-brands, especially for budget guitars, do you think can do this on a budget? And yeah, thanks. watch it, subscribe if you get the time, and we'll be back with some mods very, very soon.